Okay, we're going to take a couple minutes here, and I'm going to give you a brief overview of a couple things on our architecture, and we're going to dive right into a real interesting scenario here that Bob is going to take us through. To start off with, first I'd like to tell you that first of all, the Macola is an outstanding ERP platform, rich and robust with very deep layers of inventory control and management capabilities. And I can remember the first time I saw it was back in the early 90s, and I worked at J.D. Edwards and was blown away by the capabilities within Macola. So definitely an outstanding platform to work with. The philosophy at WiSys is to leverage the latest technologies to advance the Macola environment through continuous improvement to an optimized state. And so what the way we look at things is from a perspective of operational performance management. And to that end, I think there's varying degrees of where a company sits. At the incipient stages, you see kind of a static state. And that's where Macola is. It's out of the box. It's kind of a paper-based system that requires many steps, very thorough, but they're all there. But it's what we would call more of a static state. In the dynamic state, this is where a company becomes more real-time, and it requires a sequence of streamlining steps and processes to put good and complete information into the system. And that's where we're pushing up this hill towards continuous improvement. And those are the tools that we provide. In the agile state, we kind of think of that as you cannot succeed at what you do not measure. And at that point, it's really being able to respond quickly to customers, to manage vendors, to monitor key processes and act upon them. WiSys started back in 2004. We currently have about 200 customers, and we are 100% focused on Macola. That's all we focus on. Probably more institutional knowledge than any company on the planet exists at WiSys, and that many of the founder of Macola, Bruce Hollinger, is the CEO of WiSys, and many of the original developers are there. So this is our focus. This is where we put all of our energy and time. Okay, architecturally, just a couple things here I just wanted to cover before we get into things here, but we build our solutions to take advantage of Microsoft's .NET technology. For those of you who don't maybe understand that, that's really an XML web service platform that allows us to build super rich .NET applications, allowing users to access it allows them access through a wide range of smart devices, and what that really means is easy application deployment and maintenance and simplified development. In this technology stack, we have built out some robust transactions using our objects to more elegantly process transactions in a manner that each customer requires. So we're able to take any existing Macola transaction, whether it's modified, customized, and feed that transaction into the ERP system. So this is kind of where it all starts. We wrapper this with our agility framework, which is really a radically new way of looking at operational information. And you'll get a chance to see some of this today because it has a real Microsoft Outlook look and feel to it, and so you'll feel comfortable with that. So, going back to the slide that I showed you previously about the real-time environment, this really starts with processing transactions with the required level of detail, capturing information at its first touch point, and that's kind of what we're all about here. This promotes better compliance, more efficient movements, better understanding of costs, better customer service levels, and significantly more efficient logistics. So it's this agile environment that's accomplished when the operations are current, correct, compliant, and now at that point we can start to examine, inspect, measure, monitor, act, and analyze things. So with that, what I'm going to do is hand the floor over to Bob. And Bob's going to kind of take us through a flow here that will really show you some ways that we simplify and streamline transactions. Oh, hang on one second. Bob, there you go. The floor is all yours, Bob.
All right, thank you, John.
Thank you, Bob.
Okay, thanks everybody. Again, this is Bob. I'm going to take a look at just maybe to open up the presentation and start it from a place of order demand. And my presentation is going to be more of a flow type demonstration. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with a dashboard. I'm going to open that up.
And Bob, I'd just like to mention real quick, I'm going to be monitoring questions that you can type. So if you have any questions that you're confused about, feel free to type a question. I'll answer them as they come in, and then we can repeat those at the end too for anybody else who'd like to hear those.
All right. I've dragged some things into my favorites area here. I'll see if I can open this up. Okay. Let's go back to Macola here for a second. And I'm going to start with my order that I've entered into the system. Now, whether that order comes in through EDI, whether that order comes in through some type of typing, that's fine. I just wanted to show you here that I've got an order in the system. I'm going to be manufacturing s'mores. S'mores are those favorite campfire foods made of marshmallow, graham crackers, and chocolate. So I'm going to be working with items that are lotted and binned today. If we take a look at our bill of material for that particular item, if I look at s'mores, my bill of resource here, I've got a very simple bill of resource: graham crackers, chocolate, and marshmallows. So each one of these items needs to be issued to that shop order, that pop order that I'm going to make today. Okay, so we've got an order in the system. Now, the couple of things I wanted to point out would be I want to start with some setup issues to build a foundation so that we can actually see how WiSys is going to use some detailed tools to help with our process. So I'm going to go into WiSys setup. I know this is a little bit technical, but it should be okay. And I want to look at our document management system. And I want you to think of a document that can be printed on demand, where you don't have to go to a computer to get it, decide how many copies you want, what customer is it for. What if everything was inside SQL Server, and what if it was linked up to a transactional process? So as an example, let's look at receiving. When I do some receiving today, I'm going to print a crystal report, and it's going to look just like this. So this is my UPS size label that I'm going to print and put on the tote of chocolate that I receive. And it can have anything on it. You can put the receiver, anything you want to get out of crystal, you can stick on there. And it's going to prompt me for how many copies do I want at the time of receiving. Now the same is true on the pop manufacturing side. When I do a finished good, I'm going to print a label. And that label is going to look somewhat similar. This is going to be my order number, my description, my lot number, my date, my quantity. So as I go through my process, and I'm going to print off a label there. And finally, on the shipping side, a couple of things there. I'm going to have a carton content label. I know some people like to maybe print a document, maybe an 8.5 by 11 piece of paper that goes into every carton. So those are all transactional possibilities. So I'm going to continue on. And I want to look at something that we call Lot Builder. And WiSys has an option here so that when I actually manufacture something that's a lot, when I produce it, I want to be able to have a lot number look just the way I want it. So in my example, I'm going to use a Julian date, which is a 7-digit number. And I'm going to also reach into Macola to a table column lookup, and I'm going to look at the pop order, and I'm going to grab the pop order number. And there's a lot of options in here. You can use the standards in Macola, which is static global or the sequential global. You can go get any table and column that's relevant to what you need to do, dates, times, etc., even manual entry. So rather than have to pre-print your lots and pre-print your labels for production, imagine if they just came out on the specific line that you needed at the work center where you were actually doing the work, and you could physically apply it to the product or the box at that time. Those are the two setup things I wanted to show you. Okay, in order entry, we have our order for s'mores, and we want to go in and look at our, pretend that we are the production manager for a moment. So let's go to something that we call pop pick tickets, and I really look at this as more of an order release management process grid. And I have my orders stacked right now. These are all my possible orders in this location. These are my pop orders. And I can customize this view. I might want to look at it by item. So here are my orders by item. So when I find the items that I want to manufacture, I can just simply pop these up and make a decision. I can see that the order is unreleased, and I have a problem. I've got a shortage. If I right mouse, I can see the shortage. I'm short on the O3 product, which I know is my chocolate. I keep having shrinkage problems on that product. I just don't know why. So let's see what we can do. We're going to have to pick up the phone, and we're going to have to call the purchasing department and talk to receiving, and let's go ahead and do that. So we'll make the call. We're going to go to the shipping department, and I'm going to start talking to the receiving guy. And don't you know, lo and behold, that the truck just showed up with our raw materials, and we're going to be able to expedite those right now. So I'm going to use the handheld computer. And the WiSys handheld computer is actually a very small terminal server application. So I'm running it today in my emulator so I can display it for the web. But it's really the same application that would run on the handheld device. And you can see it's a small little screen. The WiSys applications work equally well with Progression or ES. So I have a ES company here that I'm going to work with today, but I also have my demo bike company, which is Progression. So I can do demos in either one just right here. And you can have any number of companies you want to display. I'm going to go ahead and scan my badge, enter my password, and now I have my own unique menu. And this is really nice. I've been on site at customers where some of the employees have low English skills, and they get used to these pictures and they know what these are. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to go ahead and do some receiving. And I could simply just shoot a barcode. And if that barcode is not the barcode I want, it's going to tell me there's nothing out there. That's a mistake. I'll go ahead and scan the right item, and it'll show me all POs for that item. So I have simple demo data today. I don't have a whole lot of open POs for this item, but I have this one. If you still have a problem and you want to look up stuff, I can actually look up every item on an open PO right here, and I can look up any open PO. So if I want to grab it, I can do the same thing if I don't have anything to shoot or type in. So I'll go ahead and receive all 100 of these units in this tote. When I do that, it wants to know the lot number that I'm receiving. And the great thing about barcoding is when it comes in and is barcoded from your vendor, that's a great thing because then you can scan that barcode. If you have your cross-references set up in Macola, you can scan your supplier's barcode and get their item number, your item number. Or in this case, I'm just going to scan the lot number that came in with this particular load. And I'm going to say all 100 are there. I'm going to hit enter. And in just a second, you're going to hear my printer. This little label would pop up right here on the screen. I'm going to say I want one label for the whole tote. So in just a second, you'll hear my printer print. And I now have my crystal report as a label that I can physically apply to the tote and use throughout my process. Okay, so receiving is done, and we'll just set that aside for a minute. Now the phone might ring over in production and say, hey, I just received those chocolate products that you needed to manufacture with. So the production manager anytime during the day can hit the refresh button and just refresh the data. And as soon as you do that, you can see that the X under shortages has been removed. But I still have one more process. These items that have been received are on hold because they're a allotted item and I have a QA process. So the QA department would be involved, and I'm going to double click on this lot inspection application, and I'm going to shut this down and relaunch it because it's not acting right. Go back in. So I'm in the QA department. I have my little checklist, piece of paper of things that I'm going over. And when I get this product or many products in the QA area completed, I'm just going to checkbox these items. So I can release the whole group or just one at a time, however you want to do that. And sitting right here, I can see that this is the item. It's on hold. I can see the lot number. I can see that it's located in the receiving department. So the bin that it's received into automatically gives me visibility of where it is. So it's in receiving and it's on hold. I'm just going to click this box for release. So I've just released that particular thing. So if I go back in and look at it, you'll see that all the items that were in the hold inspection release area are now clear. So that's pretty easy. If you've ever had to go in and release lots in Macola, I mean, it's not terrible, but it's a slower process than what I just showed you if you have to look up every item in every lot and release each one, changing it from H to A. So going back over here, I'm going to go ahead and release my order now. And I'm changing it right here. I'm doing my release status in the WiSys order management tool. And of all the pop orders available, I just want to work on this one. So I'm going to drag it down here into the flagged order section, and I'm going to print my work order. Again, every document inside WiSys is a crystal report. So I have a lot of control. So if you really like your documents you're using for POP today, you can probably rewire those and stick them into our system pretty easily. But the WiSys order here is giving me a bin recommendation, and it's suggesting what lot I should go after. And this will be based on the expiration dates and things like that. So I have two items in my simple demonstration here. Two are going to be in the same bin here, S100, and one is at the receiving dock. So let's go ahead and print this off, and I'll use that as a material handler. Okay. So I've got my POP work order now, and I'm using that. I hand that to the, put that on a clipboard and give it to somebody. And of course, what do? They're going to now go out and do physical movement of that material. Again, this application is on the gun, and I've set up what we call a user-defined process. And I have all of my material is in the MA warehouse, and I'm moving it to MA, but I'm actually staging it for production in a WIP bin. This is not actually issuing the material yet to WIP in POP, but we're actually going to move it to a physical bin called WIP. Well, why would you do that? Well, many times jobs are running, and you need to queue up the material for the next job. So the material handler would take the document, go get everything and pick it, and actually move it and stage it ready for the next guy to use in manufacturing. So let's go ahead and move our material. So I'm going to first scan the first item, and it's my graham crackers. Now, when I get to that location of that item, I want to scan the bin that I'm taking it out of. So I'm going to shoot the bin. It's right in front of me. And then I need to actually double check and scan the lot that I'm going to move. And the quantity will be 30. So I've just moved that to my WIP bin. It's on my table. It's not really in WIP yet, but I'm just moving it. So it's on my table ready to go. I'm going to grab the next item since I'm here, the marshmallows. I'm going to shoot the bin just to double check, and I'm going to get the lot right off the product. Again, I need 30. And there we go. Now I physically drag the cart down, and because I've got that hot item that was received on the chocolate that just came in, I didn't take the time to do a put away function, although I could have, but I'm just going to issue those right from the dock to the WIP bin. So let's go ahead and scan the chocolate, and the chocolate is coming out of the WIP, or out of the receiving area, so I'll scan that, and then I'll get my chocolate. And my chocolate is that, and the quantity is 100. So I'm going to move the whole tote at one time because it's a lot easier to do that. Now, as many of you that have been using POP know, the Macola model for POP is purely backflush. What we've designed in WiSys is the ability to do something that's more like shop floor, in the sense that I can really do material picking against a POP order. And so many times, whether it's pharmaceuticals, plastics, sometimes a food item, things like that, I want to be able to deal with more of a recipe. And sometimes things don't actually match the bill of material when we go to consume them. Some things can be more of a reactive process that take time. I'm loading hoppers all day long and actually moving the material into the processing area as we go. So right now all my material is ready to go, and I'm going to take my POP order now. It's sitting on the table, and the manufacturing people are ready to begin this job. So what we're going to do now is we're going to use an application on the desktop. So the WiSys applications are a little bit bigger than normal. They're not standard Windows size applications meant to be sitting right in front of, but you can actually see these things and stand back from them a ways and use the scanning system to work with it. There are a number of options here. I'm going to focus on material issue and production reporting today. So to get my job started, I'm going to go ahead and scan my production order, and I'm going to shoot the first item. And those are my graham crackers, and I'm just going to accept that I'm going to issue the beginning what the bill of material calls for, 30. So it just issued those to the POP order right out of the WIP bin. I'm going to go ahead and get the marshmallows, and I'm going to scan the order, the item, and the quantity again. And this time, instead of using the big expensive handheld mobile device, I'm actually using a USB scanner. inexpensive. Rather than a $2,000 mobile scanner, I'm using a $250 USB wedge type scanner. So I'm going to go ahead and get my final item, and I'm going to issue exactly the amount of chocolate that I need, 30. So there we go. We're all issued, and we're going to begin production. So elapsed time goes by, and you'll notice I'm not collecting labor like we would be in shop floor, but I am collecting information about what I made. And it's telling me that when I'm going to use my whip bin here, and I'm actually producing everything to staging. The company that we work for, their process is they make and ship the same day because it's fresh. So I'm going to go ahead and scan my pop order, and in this particular batch I was only able to get 29. So I'm going to go ahead and create that label. That physical label now is going to print out. You'll hear it in just a second. So I've got my label now, and I can actually use it in my production process right on my finished goods. Okay, and unfortunately during our manufacturing process we actually consumed a little bit more chocolate than we anticipated. So I'm going to go ahead and issue a little bit more chocolate. So you can see I'm actually able to over-issue, under-issue, and even return material if I need to do that. So I've got my finished goods now. And you know, in the process of making money in a business, we want to go to the shipping side of the business now. As that material has flowed over to the shipping department, we're going to actually take that material and associate it with the customer order that we want to work on. Again, this is the same type of process grid that I can look at, and I can look here for my s'mores. You'll notice that they're back ordered. When I entered the order we didn't have any, so Macola immediately back ordered 20 of these items. So just sitting on this screen, I could flag as many orders as I want to process, or I could flag one at a time. I can fill back orders. I could fill all back orders. So I'll go ahead and do that. Fill back orders. 4 orders were filled. So that was pretty easy. And we're now ready to go. So if we look back at the s'mores, the back order condition has been relieved, and I'm ready to move this particular order down here to my work grid. If I don't want any paper, if I don't need a pick ticket to ship this, I can just mark it as printed. I can print it to the screen if I want to look at it, or I can just print it to the printer right out by the product itself. Since we're in a demo, I'll go ahead and print it to the screen. Again, it's a crystal report. Okay, so the shipping manager, the production manager has some really nice tools for them to pay attention to and just manage the shipping process and manufacturing process all day long. Now we're moving pretty fast here because we're a quick turn manufacturer. You can see that I received, expedited, did my QA step, did my production, labeling, etc. And we haven't even crossed hardly 30 minutes here. That's pretty fast, right? So to go ahead and finish the shipment, I'm going to pack the order. I'm going to pack cartons, and I'm just going to scan my pick ticket here, and it says what item am I going to work on, and just on this screen it's giving me just some big buttons here that I can easily see as I move around. Again, I'm using my tethered scanner to work on this order. I don't have to use a big expensive scanner in this process. So let me go ahead and scan my item. Now, because the s'mores were labeled as they came out, I have it physically in my hand, and I can double check that I'm not actually shipping the wrong item to the wrong customer. So they fit in 10 to a box. I'm taking them right from the staging bin, I know that. If I had multiple lot numbers, I'd want to scan each one that I pack. Now in a food environment, this is really important to track cradle to grave. What lot number am I shipping to what customer? What raw materials went into that pop order that they're getting this from? And actually, a lot of pharmaceutical people or medical device people that are using allotted items want to know exactly what box what item went into. And so I'm taking the time, I'm putting the energy in to keeping track of what I'm boxing up. In this simple demo, I'm going to now switch boxes. You'll notice down at the bottom of the screen, I can just say same order, next carton. I'm on the same order. I don't have to rescan that again. It's just a new carton number. I'm going to scan the item and put 10 more in that box. If I overship, if I undership, there are warnings to give me some idea that I might be making a mistake. Okay, at this point, my order's all packed up. It's going down the conveyor belt, and it's going to be right next to the UPS label printer. At this point, I might want to print my carton content labels. I'll go ahead and do that. And because this order was entered with the UPS as my shipping destination, it's highlighting that. You'll notice FedEx is turned off. But on the slight chance that the shipping department really thinks that this order needs to go on a bigger truck, they could override this if they want to. I'm going to continue the demo just selecting UPS because that's what I want to do. In our situation here, we're going to confirm ship the order. That will allow you to see your items moving when they really ship, as opposed to confirm billing. Now, this is my final screen. It allows me to put in some additional information. I can change the address. If the sales department calls back and says, got a problem, ship it to a different address, we can override the system right here. We can also use a scale to get the weight. I just press F5 and I can go ahead and change this by using the scale, or I can type it in manually. These are small cartons, so I'm just going to deal with 10 pounds in each one. If there are special handling requirements, boxes, size, Saturday delivery, even reference fields that need to be filled out, if you use the WiSys system when you set it up, you can actually map these fields with our mapping tool so that this field might always be the customer's PO or something. And again, if the sales department says, hey, ship this next day, I can actually do that right here too. I just like to point out that the value of using the WiSys integrated shipping is that UPS, FedEx, and less than truckload or truckload shipping all looks the same in one streamlined process to the shipping department. They don't have to use one system to do one thing and one system to do another. If you don't need the detail in your business to pack up these lot numbers, you can still use WiSys in a very simple shipping manner and do confirm shipping on the gun, and you can still use Starship or ShipGear if you like that. But if packing detail is important to you, then this product might be right for you. I'd also like to point out that this shipment number in an EDI environment is going to be the ASN number. And this will flow through automatically to Data Masons with no importing necessary. Okay, well, it's time to ship. So I'm going to press the shipment button. And I've now confirmed shipped everything in Macola, and my UPS labels are printing out to be applied to the box with their corresponding carton labels or delivery information. Okay, so that's the process. The orders are all the way through the system now. And if we go back and potentially look at maybe our order information, Agility as an application is a radar screen. It'll come up and give you a dashboard if you need a dashboard. I was going to start here, but I had a little bit of a problem. If you notice here, this dashboard has gadgets, gauges, dials, different little things you can control. I can double click on any of these things and drill down onto these different metrics. If I want to move past that and go to order processing, I can actually go in and look at maybe the shipping, and I could look at my order detail list, and I can see this is my order shipment right here. So the front office people, the salespeople, could be looking at this application. You can have your own dashboard by group of people. Executives can have a dashboard, workers can have a dashboard, and the dashboards can actually be transactionable. As you saw, I went in and did a lot release earlier. But sitting right here, I can get all the detail about this particular shipment, and I can drill down on it if I want to see how it was packed. I can even see the tree of what went in each box. And sitting here, I can actually pull up a browser. Agility can actually launch any browser application, including Synergy. So obviously this is a test demo, and I didn't get a tracking information, but this is what you'd get. The number would be populated in here, and you could just pull that up. It would be posted in from this tracking number here. And to complete our discussion, let me just go back into Macola, and we'll review our order. And we can see that the order is at the build status. So if you've taken the time to go through the picking and packing process, we absolutely know what is shipped to this customer. There's no need to go through the billing step. So we're already at the point where we can invoice and post if we need to. And the line item detail for the tracking is pushed back into the Macola data tables for you automatically. This is a lot more detailed than what ShipGear or Starship give you. Now I actually have the tracking number by package and by item. So I'll wrap up right here. If there are questions, I'll hand the meeting back over to Mike to maybe bring up some discussion points. We've gone about 35, 40 minutes. We have time if you'd like to discuss some issues. Mike?
Yep. Nice job, Bob. I'm going to see if I can. I have had a couple questions come in. I'm going to see if I can open up conversation. What you could do is if you choose to raise your hand, then I'll see if I can unmute you. It's free to ask a question. If not, then we may have to just stick with typing up the questions. So go ahead and raise your hand, and we'll try this first. You can also just type in a question if you have, and I can repeat them.